Hello, welcome to the morning news. Europe continues to reel from the tragic plane crash in the French Alps that left 150 dead. Rescue crews gathered in the French town of Cinq-les-Alpes Wednesday, embarking by helicopter to search the crash site of the German-winged Airbus A320 from Barcelona to Düsseldorf. While authorities say they do not expect there to be any survivors, family members are awaiting information after spending the night at the hotel in Barcelona. The French Interior Ministry has confirmed that the black box flight recorder has been recovered and will be examined as soon as possible to determine the cause of the crash. The European Union's Foreign Affairs representative was in Cuba on Tuesday for talks on restoring full ties with the island. Federica Mogherini, the highest-ranking EU official ever to visit Havana, met with Foreign Affairs Minister Bruno Rodriguez. Last April, the EU decided to re-establish full ties with Cuba after suspending them in 2003. European countries are reportedly anxious to restore full commercial ties. The EU High Commissioner the European bloc thinks the United States should end the economic blockade against the island.
In particular, in these times of dialogue with our friends of the United States, we see no reason for the blockade to stay.
Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov began a short Latin American tour Tuesday, beginning with a visit to Cuba. He met with officials, including President Raul Castro. Lavrov applauded the moves to restore relations between the U.S. and the island, but also called for an end to economic blockade against Cuba. Sergei Lavrov also flew to Colombia, meeting President Juan Manuel Santos and Foreign Minister Maria Angela Holguín to discuss trade and the Ukrainian crisis. The Russian diplomat is also scheduled to visit Nicaragua and Guatemala. In Mexico, families of femicide victims, as well as human rights organizations, are raising the alarm once again to the continued high numbers of cases of gender violence. The groups are hoping that a Supreme Court decision will provide a precedent in fighting against impunity. Our correspondent Clayton Kahn has more.
This week, Mexico's Supreme Court will hear the case of Mariana Buendia, a potential victim of femicide in the state of Mexico. Although the state authorities determined her death as suicide, Buendia's family and rights organizations claim that the investigation carried out by the authorities was flawed.
We are facing a historic opportunity that the Supreme Court recognizes the importance of the organization of proper procedures in investigating. With a gender perspective, cases of violence toward women or femicides, and that the precedent made that established the criteria for investigation.
For the mother of Mariana, her daughter's death, which occurred 5 years ago, was a murder caused at the hands of Mariana's husband, a state police officer. She says justice in the case will help prevent impunity in the estimated 300 other cases the state suffers every year.
Even if I stand on my head, my daughter will not come back to life. But I want Julio Cesar Hernandez Ballinas to never murder another woman again. Because my daughter did not just die from a headache or a disease, she was murdered.
According to families of other victims of femicide, anti-gender violence laws and policies proposed by social organizations and approved by the authorities have proven to be ineffective or simply ignored. They argue that impunity is actively being applied.
In reality, it is a drain, and I believe that is precisely what they want. The Attorney General and all the other government agencies want us to get tired so that we just leave the case alone.
Rights groups and families of victims continue to demand that all potential cases of gender violence be investigated thoroughly and without partiality, as well as the effective application of policies that are developed with the participation of civil society. According to official numbers, Mexico suffers from at least 7 femicides a day, and over the past 28 years, more than 44,000 women have been killed. Clayton Kahn, teleSUR, Mexico City.
On the 39th anniversary of the military dictatorship that killed 30,000 people, Argentines took to the streets to demand that those accused of crimes against humanity face justice, as well as to oppose destabilization attempts against government in Venezuela, Brazil, and Argentina. Our correspondent Leo Poblete was there, and has this report.
Thousands of people marched through the streets of Buenos Aires this Tuesday, paying tribute to the estimated 30,000 victims of the state terrorism imposed during the civic military dictatorship.
Today's march is extraordinary. It used to be full of sorrow. Today, it's a day of joy, to pay tribute to those 30,000 disappeared.
Do you want to know what I feel? I feel that we have not been defeated, and that I walk here today with the 30,000 disappeared comrades. I walk here with my generation, the generation of the 1970s, all my friends and comrades who went missing at the hands of those torturers.
The imprisonment of all civilian accomplices of the genocidal regime and the dismantling of the socio-economic policies carried out by the dictatorship that are still in place are historic demands.
The repeal of the laws of impunity this government undertook was a big step forward in recent years, which allowed the advance of trials and allowed a debate over the military who implemented the genocide in Argentina. But only after corporations planned that genocide in Argentina, who benefited greatly from the subsequent installation of neoliberalism in Argentina. In that sense, we've had 10 years of advancing policies that continue to banish the macabre plan of the military dictatorship and to continue to shed the light on who are the real culprits.
There was also shows of solidarity with Venezuela's Bolivarian revolution.
We all know that U.S. imperialism never comes down this way for good reasons. They always come down with their claws ready to steal our wealth. Our people are not the same as they were 20 years ago. As we can now see a broader picture now, we do not want them here. We do not want to be their backyard or any other empire's backyard.
Long live President Maduro. Long live President Cristina, Rafael Correa, and long live a united Latin
A
America.
petition calling on US President Barack Obama to repeal the executive order declaring Venezuela a threat to the US was widely supported.
The thousands of people present at this year's march here behind me underline that the best way to honour those who fell during the dictatorship is to remain alert against the aggression imposed on the region by US imperialism, which does not want to lose its influence over what it still considers its very own backyard. Leo Poblete Goduti, teleSUR, Buenos Aires.
And after being devastated by the Ebola outbreak last year, Liberia is starting to return to normal, in part thanks to the support from Cuba. Only one new case has been reported over the last 3 weeks. The 52-member Cuban Medical Brigade, which included doctors and nurses, worked around the clock. Aside from training, the medical admitted 198 people, including 54 confirmed cases. Liberia is still maintaining its safety protocols regarding transmission, especially at the border with Sierra Leone and Guinea, where cases are still being reported. The governments of Syria and Iraq have signed cooperation agreements. Both countries continue to struggle against extremists, including the Islamic State group. Meeting in Damascus, Iraqi Foreign Affairs Minister Ibrahim al-Yafari and Syrian President Bashar al-Assad agreed to strengthen bilateral collaboration against the militants. President al-Assad added that it is vital that the international community become more involved, including pressure governments who are currently supporting the armed opposition groups. And the rock legend has launched a new movement in the UK calling for radical reform in the country. Brian May, a guitarist from the rock band Queen, unveiled his Common Decency campaign, saying the country needs to address corruption and inequality. The 67-year-old guitarist denied that he was running for office and said the focus of the campaign will be encouraging more people to vote, while also calling for significant changes to the UK's political system. More on this on our website, telesurtv.net/English. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.